We're going to take you live now to Adelaide, where Emergency Management Minister Murray Watt and South Australia Premier Peter Malinauskas are speaking.
Understanding of exactly what is happening on the ground throughout river communities in the state of South Australia throughout the course of this flooding event. And the understanding, of course, lends itself to a big recovery effort that we know is on its way in South Australia. Chris Beattie will go through a bit of details in respect to where the peak is at the moment and how much longer we expect the flooding to be with us for, because we know there is still some way to go yet, to say the least. But we are actively turning our minds to recovery because we do know it's going to be a very substantial undertaking indeed. And that is going to take resources and that is going to take money. So to be able to have the assistance of the federal government is something that is very much appreciated by all South Australians. On a personal note, I also just want to thank the Prime Minister and Minister Watt for devoting much of their time to having an on-the-ground presence. We know Albo was here some weeks ago and was able to see firsthand what was coming and the preparations that were underway. And Minister Watt has been to South Australia on more than one occasion and is out touring river communities again this afternoon along with Minister Sockarch. And having them on the ground to see what's happening firsthand, but talking to people, talking to homeowners, business owners, to understand exactly what's happening has been really productive and worthwhile and allowed for an expedited process to get to this point today. Today, we do announce an additional $126 million worth of funding, jointly funded through this Commonwealth and the state government, to prepare us for the recovery effort in front of us. That $126 million package brings the total funding to this disaster now to $178 million between the state government and the Commonwealth. This is the biggest funding package to any disaster in our understanding in the state's history. It demonstrates just how serious we are to do the preparatory work, but then to do the recovery as well, because the clean-up effort is going to be big. It's going to take a lot of manpower. It's a lot of effort from men and women across the state, but it's also going to take a lot of resources that requires a collaborative effort between the Commonwealth, the state government and local government in particular. Just to outline some of the details of this $126 million worth of new money today, it starts with the property assessment and power connection effort. Many of you have heard me refer to the fact that we expect that somewhere in the order of 4,000 different properties will have to have an individual certification from an electrician to be able to have their power reconnected. We've already got 200 Sparkies that we've identified across the state who will lend themselves to prioritising this effort, but that will also require some funding and assistance. $10 million has been allocated to that effort, and I can go into a little bit of detail if you like about how we intend to administer that $10 million. An additional $9.3 million for small business recovery grants for up to $50,000 per small business. Now that's on top of the eligibility for the $10,000 that the state government is providing to this effort as well. So this means that small businesses will now be able to get access to up to $60,000 to be able to get them back on their feet, servicing their communities, employing local people as quickly as possible in river communities. Primary producers will be eligible for up to $45.9 million, so that is $50 million worth of funding for grants up to $75,000 per primary producer. This will
That's the South Australian Premier there announcing further funding for flood-affected regions in South Australia as they continue to deal with the flood crisis.